Okay, so we'll start. Well, last time we looked at various applications of linear programming, different fields, and they were basically case studies. Right? So please go through those because they're, well, actually that whole chapter, maybe I'll just indicate in the, oh, what happened? Okay. If we were basically doing it from this textbook, and in this textbook there's a whole chapter on very good applications, which is two chapters, chapter 4 and chapter 5. So especially, you have the textbook, so go through it. Really interesting types of applications, quite different types of applications. And if possible, you can try the problems at the end of the chapter. Very, very interesting types of applications you have. And in fact, that could help you also think of how to apply it in your projects as well as and so on. Okay? Anyhow, let us, oh, what happened? Something happened. Okay, something happened, whatever. Okay, so now let us get on to our new topic for today, which is, yes, it started, yes. Okay, which is called integer programming. Okay, integer linear programming. Now, basically, linear programming, as we saw, has many, many wide applications, but sometimes we need to put in some extra restrictions, right? Extra restrictions in the sense that sometimes the variables have to be integer valued. Now, as we'll see, that's not much of a constraint, but sometimes these types of variables, especially what are called binary variables, 0-1 variables, have many interesting types of applications, which generally you wouldn't have thought, like for example in networks, in project planning, for example, whole of project planning is expressed in terms of 0-1 variables, like as it turns out. Okay, so many of these different applications come from what are called binary variables. So it's a good thing to study them separately. All right, so there are various types of integer programming models. One in which all variables are integer valued is called an all integer programming problem, linear programming problem. So IPP, or integer programming problem. You could have all variables integer, which we call as all integer or pure integer programming problem, or we could have mixed ones. Some of them are integer, some of them non-integer. That's called a mixed integer programming problem. Now, that's this mixed integer programming problem. Now, sometimes what we do is we solve it assuming that it's non-integer, right? So sometimes we take an integer programming problem and relax it, drop the integer requirement. That's called an LP relaxation, linear programming relaxation. Sometimes that itself gives you the correct solution. If that's the case, we're very happy. If it's not, then we have to do some further. And as we said, continuous. In linear programming, all variables are considered continuous variables, right? So we'll get solution like, for example, x equals 2.5, something like that. That's not an integer solution. So if that that isn't a solution to the integer problem, but it's a solution to the LP relaxation. We'll see as we do it. We'll see. Right? Now, binary variables are variables whose values are restricted to 0 or 1. Such a problem, so sometimes variables are restricted to this, and those are called 0-1 or binary linear programming problems. Okay, so we'll see many, many interesting applications. So let's consider this simple problem here. Right? So maximize 3x1 plus 2x2, subject to 3x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 9, x1 plus 3x2 less than or equal to 7, minus x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 1. Very simple problem, right? I'll close this. But what we require is that x1 and x2 are non-negative and integral. So we want integer values. So when we solve the problem, we end up getting, okay, well, let's do it actually. Shall we do this in Torah? We have Torah, no? We have Torah, let's do it. What was the problem, of course? 3, 1, 1, 3, 1, minus 1, 1. Okay, 3, 1, 1. LPP. Okay, so two variables, 3 constraints. Okay, we're maximizing 3x1 plus, oh no, this 3x1 plus 2x2, 3x1 plus 3x1 plus x2, x1 plus 3x2 plus 3x2, right? And minus 1 plus 1. Minus 1 plus 1. Okay, this is 9, this is 7, and this is 1, I think, right? 1. Okay. Oh, hi. Okay, so let's solve it. All right, so solve and go for graphical solution. All right, so what we have, first one is 9 here, 3 here. Okay. Next one is 7 here, 7 by 3 here. And next one is minus 1 plus 1. So what were corner points? 0, this one, 1, 0, this intersection, and this. And so let's see what our final solution is. This point here, which is x1 equals 2.5, x2 equals 1.5, and z equals 10.5. Okay. Okay. Now, all right. So our solution is what we got here. Okay. Solving the problem, we get x1 equals 2.5, x2 equals 1.5, z is 10.5. Okay. So this is the thing, and this is where it comes. Now, so this is the LPP relaxation. Right? We assume this to be an LPP and solved it as usual. And the solution is not optimal for our problem. So what do we do? What should we do? Can we round it off and write this as 3, 2? But the problem is 3, 2 probably is somewhere, oh, this is, 3, 2 is outside the region. And so that won't even be feasible. And so rounding off is never, very rarely is a solution to this. Very rarely by rounding off, will we get the correct solution. Right, so let's see what else can be done. So if we round up, it becomes 3, 2, and that's outside the feasible region. Because the problem said that both had to be integer, no? Whereas this point, 2.5, 1.5, are both non-integer. Okay, so this, right? So suppose it is, so cars and something else, cars and motorcycles. 2.5 cars we cannot produce. Okay? So because of that. All right, so what should we do next? Well, rounding down will bring you to 1. Okay, so that was rounding up. You can round down, but that becomes actually lower, right? So that comes to somewhere here, which is far inside the feasible region. So this probably is not the right solution either. Okay, the optimal solution is 3, 0. Okay, as it turns out. But one way, of course, is to take all possible combinations, complete enumeration. So all possible combinations are 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 3, 2, 0, and 6, 3, 0, 9. This is the Z value here. 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, and 1, 2. And the maximum is for this one, where x1 equals 3, x2 equals 0. But this is a small problem, so we could find all of these. If it's a larger region, finding out all these points is not so simple also. And especially in higher dimensions, again, a bigger problem. So this is not the best way of solving this. Okay, now, of course, a simple way, a simple way is by putting an integer restriction. Now, the problem here is in Torah, when we try to solve this, okay, if we try to, actually there's a separate menu for integer programming, okay? Integer programming. And unfortunately, you can't move that to this. So this is another problem here. Okay, so IPP, 2 variables here, and 3 constraints, okay? All right. Integer, yes. So everything is taken to be integer here. And 3 comma 2, 3 comma 1, 3 comma 1 this side, minus 1 comma 1 here. And here we have 9, 7, and 1. Okay. So when we solve this, it will just take one single solution. All right. Oh, this is called branch and bound. Okay. So let's see. Search is completed. What? Did it take minimization or what? Maximize. I think there's a bug in this. All right, we will do user defined. Right. User defined. Activate bounds on that. Oh. First put array. Oh, RHS 0, is it? Oh, I missed. No wonder. Yes, thank you. Okay. All right, so now save in data, solve the problem, and automate it. And we get two immediate solutions, 2 comma 1. So near the, basically what it will do is, it will search near the intersection point here, right? And what it will do, okay, this is called branching and bounding, okay? What it will do is, it will say the following, okay? So take this point, 2.5 comma 1.5. Take any one variable. So let's take the variable x1. Since the value of x1 here is 2.5, we'll split it one side less than or equal to 2, one side greater than or equal to 3. Right? So what we're basically doing is, this point we're saying is 2.5, but because it's integral, because x1 has to be integral, it cannot be between 2 and 3. So it either has to be less than or equal to 2 or greater than or equal to 3. So effectively what we're doing is, I see. Effectively what we're doing is, we're sort of splitting the feasible region like this. One region left of 2 and the other region right of 3. They're supposed to be vertical lines. Oh, they're quite vertical, huh? Quite, that's nice. All right, the other region right of 3. Okay, the other region right of 3 on this side. And now we look for integer points here. One integer point is 3 comma 0, which we know will give us the optimum. And the other integer point, when we look at the other integer points here, again, this probably will not give us the optimum. And the other integer point here is 2 comma 1. So the close by ones, actually even this probably is not integer. And I think 1 comma 2 may not also be there, right? So the other close integer points are these two, which is what they've taken there. Which is what they've taken in the, okay, so sub problem here. So they've taken 2 comma 1 and 3 comma 0. Here they get 8, here they get 9, so the optimum is 9. Okay, we can, of course, we can choose that also. So when we tell what to do, so we have to, okay, so yeah, so we have to choose the variable to do this. So I've taken x2 this time. So it's branched here. So on one side we get 2 lessons, so 10 here and 9 here. And then, do we need to go further? 2, 1, wait. What is happening? How do we go back? No. How do we go back now? It's not allowing us to go back. Oh, here. Here. Okay, here's 2.61. So let's branch with x1. Okay, so here we get All right, so here we get three solutions. This one is what is this? 1, 2, right? This one is 2, 1, and this one is 3, 0. So three solutions, and the best one here is 9. And so that's our optimal solution. So depending on how you branch, you get different solutions. Okay. Of course, it's a tedious process, and again, you can get further branching. It can go on for a long time. So, but one nice thing is, for example, if we directly do it in Excel, we can directly do and get our solution. So from now on, we won't consider this a big problem anymore. In the earlier days, when we didn't have nice tools like this, that used to be a challenge, but now it's not. So what is our objective function? 3 and 2. Oh, sorry. Okay, then 3 and 1. 3 and 1 like this, and -1 and 1. Okay, so this is some product of this with this, and we fix these. Okay. Oh, the stars here also. Project. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Okay. All right. All right. So copy that here. These are all less than equal to how much? 9, 7, and 1. Okay. And we can solve it immediately. Okay. So go to solver. We are maximizing that. Oh, sorry. This is the objective. These are the variables. And just put these less than equal to these. Okay, so when we solve, okay, so this is our LP relaxation. Okay, so we get the same solution. If I want the integer solution, I go back and I say that both variables have to be integer. Okay, notice binary is also there, integer valued. Okay, so when I do that, it will find the best integer solution in 3 comes. So, okay, so when you're doing by hand, you need to worry about all that branching and all that. But luckily for us, we're going to get the solution immediately. We're more interested in application. So just to put in integer and automatically it will come. Okay, very simple. Good. So if we have to do this step by step, we follow something called branch and bound method, which we discussed. But luckily for us, we are going to look mainly at applications. So let's not worry about that. Okay, so all this was. Okay, now there are also nice things using 0, 1 variables. Okay, so for example, and 0, 1 variables can be used in a nice way to express dependence. Right? So when xi and xj represent binary variables, designator whether project I and project j have been completed, the following special constraints may be formulated. So suppose I want to say that at most k projects should be completed. How do I do that? Well, I just add up xj. When I add up xj, that's looking at how many projects are completed. That has to be less than or equal to k. Because these are 0, 1 valued, counting and adding are the same thing. No? Counting the number of ones and adding the number of ones will give you the same value. So instead of counting, we're just adding. Yeah? Similarly, so project J being conditional on project I, we express like this. Xj minus xi should be less than or equal to 0. Okay? What does that do? Well, see, what it means is this. See, if xj is less than or equal to xi, if xi equals 0, automatically it will force xj to be equal to 0. So if project I is not completed, project j cannot be completed. So only when project I is completed can we start or think of completing project j. So that expresses the dependence on project j on project I. Okay. Now, project I is co-requisite to project j if both are equal. Xi equals xj. So if xi is 0, xj will also be 0. So if we don't complete project I, we won't complete project j. If we complete project I, automatically project j also has to be completed. So if I put xi equals xj, automatically both will be completed or not completed together. And they are mutually exclusive if xi plus xj is less than or equal to 1. Right? Now, mutually exclusive means if one happens, the other cannot happen. So if xi is 1, xj is forced to be 0. If xj is 1, xi is forced. So we cannot do both together because xi plus xj has to be less than 1. Right? That makes it mutually exclusive. Very nice way of, so instead of, so some verbal descriptions can be expressed, logical descriptions can be expressed through binary variables like this. Okay, let's look at one simple application. Metropolitan Microwaves is planning to expand its operations into other electronic appliances. The company has identified 7 new product lines it can carry. Okay. Relevant information are in the following slide. Everyone is ready? So, okay, so here we are. These are 7 products. Black and white TV, color TV, large screen TV, VHS, VCR. Nowadays VHS, VCR is gone, but okay, it doesn't matter. We can imagine some other type, or VCD or something like that. Beta VCRs, video games, and home computer. Even video games have gone, but anyhow, home computer is still there. Okay, so the initial investment in each case is this. 6,000, 12,000, 20,000, and so on. The floor space requirements, 125, 150, and so on. And the expected rate of return, 8.1%, 9%, 11%, and so on. Okay, so that is the data given to us. So Metropolitan has decided that they should not stock large screen TVs unless they stock either black and white or color TVs. So only if they stock one of these should they stock large screen TVs. Also, they should not stock both types of VCRs. So one but not the other, or neither. Right? And they will stock video games if they stock color TVs. Finally, the company wishes to introduce at least 3 new product lines. So at least 3 product lines we want. And we have 45,000 to invest and 420 square feet of floor space available. So we want to formulate a linear programming problem to maximize expected rate of return. Okay? So how do we do it? Well, it's through those binary variables. Okay, the binary variables will do it. So xj is 1 if product line j is introduced, 0 if not. Now, what is the return? Well, 8.1% has to be multiplied with, okay, so the investment. So 8% on 6,000, 9% on 12,000, 11% on 20,000, and so on. And then we multiply each of those by x1, x2, x3, x4, up to x7. Right? Notice, if we decide not to introduce a product line, for example, x7 is 0, then that's not added. If it's introduced, it's added. So, nice simple way. It's like switching on and switching off. If we introduce it, that constraint is switched on and it's introduced. If it's not introduced, 0 and it's switched off, removed. Very simple, huh? Okay, so that is my maximum. So I have to maximize my total overall expected return. That's what we have. Okay, now what are the other constraints? Well, there's some constraint on the investment, total investment. Our total investment is 45,000 and the requirements are 6, 12, 20, 14, 15, 3 and 32. Oh, 32, huh? Okay, that's pretty high. That itself is close to 45. And so those are the coefficients here. So 6,000 into x1 12,000 into x2, and so on, less than or equal to 45,000. 0, 000 are removed. That's it. Now, floor space. What about the floor space? Well, we have 420 square feet available, and these are the requirements: 125, 150, 200, and so on. So the total floor space used up should be less than or equal to 420. 125x1, 150x2, and so on. Okay, now, what was the condition that the company said? First thing, Metropolitan has decided they should not stock large screen TVs unless they stock either black and white or color. So in other words, large TVs depends on whether one of these two is taken. So we have to take black and white or color TV, so add those two, and X, whatever large screen TV, is less than or equal to that. So X of the large screen TV is less than or equal to that. So X of the large, I've forgotten which one is large screen. Large screen is 3. So X3 is less than or equal to X1 plus X2. Yeah? Everyone agrees or disagrees? Okay, so what I'm saying here is, this condition boils down to saying that X3 should be less than or equal to X3 should be less than or equal to X1 plus X2. So in other words, if one of these X1 and X2 is 1, then we can consider X3. Otherwise, if both X1 and X2 are 0, automatically X3 will be 0. Right? If we do not stock black and white or color, automatically we cannot stock large screen TV. And that's what is forced with X3 less than or equal to X1 plus X2. Right? So that's our first constraint, first thing here. So, okay, it should have been written less than or equal to, it cannot be greater than. So X1 plus X2 greater than or equal to X3. I'll just put it in, otherwise some people may get confused. Okay, there should be an equal sign here. Okay, so, all right. Now, do not stock both types of VCRs. Now, VCRs are which ones? 4 and 5. So X4 plus X5 should be less than or equal to 1. Mutually exclusive, right? Both of them cannot be equal to 1. Okay. Now, next one. Video games, if they stock color TVs. So, video games is 6, color TV is 2. So, X6 less than or equal to X2. Okay. X6 less than or equal to X2. Yeah, X6 less than or equal to X2. Okay. And at least 3 new lines. So, all of them must be greater than or equal to 3. The sum of all of them should be greater than or equal to 3. Right? And the variables are 0 or 1. Okay, very, very simple. Okay, so how do we solve it? Let us see. Okay, so what do we have? This, all right. So X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, X6, and X7, right? These are the variables. And our objective, so total returns. Of course, in this case, they have to multiply. So 81.1% into 6,000. So 0.081 into 6,000. Okay, next is 0.09 into 12,000. 0.09 into 12,000. Okay, then 11% into 20,000. So 0.11 into 20,000. Then 10.2% into 14,000. 102 into 14,000. All right, next is, oh, where did it go? All right, 10.5 into 15,000. Oh, 10.5 into 15,000. Yeah? Okay. 14.1 into 2,000. And the last one is the tricky one. That's all. 13.2 into 32,000. Huh? It's a large number. Okay, now what do we have? Total investment. Okay, so this was I think 6,000. This was 12,000. This one was, oh, that's an extra zero, no? 12,000. Then this one, 20,000. This one was 14,000. This one was 15,000. This one was 2,000 and 32,000. Okay. All right. Next one is square feet, right? 125, 150, 200. 125, 150, 200. And after that, 40, 40, 20, 100. 40, 40, 20, and 100. Okay, this is space. Okay, then we have all those. Now, then we have all those conditions. So x1 plus x2 minus x3 should be less greater than or equal to 0. I'll put everything as less than or equal to. All right. So minus x1 minus x2 plus x3 is less than or equal to 0. Okay. So minus x1 minus x2 and plus x3 less than or equal to 0. Okay, then that's that one. Then okay, here x4 plus x5 less than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 1. X4 plus x5. Then we have x6 minus x2 less than or equal to 0. x6 minus x2. x6 minus x2 is less than or equal to 0. Oh, and then, oh, I see. Then one of them, oh, this one we can avoid. This one has to be greater than or equal to 1. Okay. All right, anyway, we tried our best. So these are the variables. These are the coefficients. Fix the variables. Okay, copy and paste here. And these are all less than or equal to. And the last one is greater than or equal to. Okay, this one is 45,000. This one is 420. All these are zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0. And this one is 3. Okay, we're ready. Oh, 1. This one is 1. Thank you. Okay, good. So we go to solver. We're maximizing returns. These are the variables. Okay, first three, all these are less than or equal to these. This one is greater than or equal to this. And of course, all of these are binary. Okay, when we do that, LPP, but notice we don't get a sensitivity analysis. That's the only problem. Actually, one thing is there. If we solve it without the binary constraint, so if we remove this and solve, you're getting something funny. That's the only problem. So better we just, okay, so unfortunately, if by chance the solution is the same, if by chance the solution is the same, then you get a sensitivity analysis also. That's the lucky thing. So if the LPP relaxation happens to give the correct binary solution, then we're happy. But unfortunately, in this case, it didn't. So what does that mean? Here this means, okay, let's see what they've interpreted. Okay, so the solution is the same thing, maximize, oh, and they put binary. Oh, okay, okay, assume nonlinear, oh, there's no solution, huh? I see, all right. Anyway, okay, whatever. Anyway, we solved it. What is our solution? No, just I thought I took everything as less than equal to. The same thing actually. I thought, but then one was already greater than equal. So in the end, we had to take everything else. But you can, okay. In this case, because if we had that, it would have been nice. But unfortunately, it wasn't. We would have done all together. That's my idea. But then the last constraint was great. Okay, so our solution is stock. What is this? First one is black and white TV. Then X3, which is large screen TV. And then X5, which is, what is X5? Beta VCR. And that's all. Oh, 3 only. Yeah? Okay, that's all. Yeah, these are the only things that we can stock. Okay. And total returns is 4,261. All right, now let's look at another application. Okay, this is actually, okay, this goes into the next chapter. So let me do one thing. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll do this a little later. We'll look at some other applications from here. So nice applications are there. So we'll do them from here. Okay, so, okay, we'll increase the size. All right. Okay, so these are some general things. Empty relaxation. Okay, let's do this first thing. Okay, so one nice application in capital budgeting. Actually, that was like that was a product mix solution. All right, so Ice Cold Refrigerator Company is considering investing in several projects that have varying capital requirements over the next 4 years. Faced with limited capital each year, management would like to select the most profitable projects. The estimated net present value for each project, capital requirements, and available capital over the next 4-year period are shown in the next slide, in the next. Okay, so here we have, there are 4 projects available: plant expansion, warehouse expansion, new machinery, new product. And the present values are these: 90,000, 40,000, 10,000, 37,000. But capital requirements vary. Okay, so in this case, plant expansion, each year there's some capital requirement: 15,000 first year, 2020 in the second and third year, fourth year again 15,000. Here it's increasing. So for warehouse expansion, 10, 15, 20, and then down to 5. For new machinery, first year 10,000, last year 4,000, very nice and convenient. And for new product research, 15, 10, 10, and 10. And the total capital available projected for the next 4 years are 40,000, 50,000, 40,000, and 35,000. So here, we can select multiple projects, but we have to maximize present value, and we have to keep our capital requirements in mind. So in each year, the total capital requirement should be less than equal to the capital available. Okay, so basically the variables will be binary variables, P, W, M, and R. They're equal to 1 if the project is selected, 0 if not. Okay, and the total net present value, of course, is 90 into P, 40 into W, 10 into M, and 37 into R. This is what we're trying to maximize. Thousands, of course. Okay. And what is the constraint? Straight away that, right? So 15 into P plus 10 into W plus 10 into M plus 15 into R should be less than or equal to 40. In the next year, 20 into P, 15 into R, this one is 0, plus 10 into R is less than, sorry, 15 into W here, and 10 into R should be less than or equal to 50. In the third year, 20 into P, 20 into W, again 0 into M, 10 into R should be less than or equal to 40, and 15 into P, 5 into R, and W, 4 into M, 10 into R should be less than or equal to 35. Okay? Very, very simple. So, shall we do it? Let's quickly do it. Again, simple integer problem. This put to present. Is that a question or a statement? Question, huh? No. I think the answer is no, right? But I think you sent, huh? Oh, it's there. In the LMS? I don't think so. No way. It's more straightforward. I don't think it's there. What is the price of the book in the market? Is that part of the problem or price of the book in the market? We can open Google and see Amazon or someone. Why do you have to ask me that? Yeah, huh? Huh? So available, I can see. Oh, huh? Is it? Okay. I think by mistake they must have put it. Okay, anyhow, fine. If it's there, it's there. What have to do? Okay. Okay, anyway, let's not get into all this other talk. We have to solve a lot of problems. Okay, so what were we doing? P, W, M, and R, right? P, W, M, and R. These are the variables. Oh, hold on. These are the variables. And it, oh, what happened? Okay, and net present value, NPV. So 90,000. What was the next one? Oh, the wrong one, this one. 90, 40, 10, 37. 90, 40, 10, and 37 also. Okay, and here. What were the capital requirements? Oh, God. Oh, this one, okay. 15, 10, 10, 15. 15, 10, 10, 15. 10, 10, 10, and 15. Next one is close. Ah, what am I clicking on everything now? 20, 15, 0, 10. 20, 15, 0, and 10. Okay. Then, no, don't. 20, 20, 0, 10. 20, 20, 0, and 10. Okay. Oh, what was the comment? If it's part of the book thing, we'll just ignore it. Okay. It's part of the book thing. Huh? All right. Last one. 15, 5, 4, 10. 15, 5, 4, and 10. Okay. And again, some product. Product of this with this, doesn't matter which order we put it. As long as we fix the correct things. Okay, copy, paste here. All of them are less than or equal to how much? Okay, so let's see, let's remember 40, 50, 40, 35. 40, 50, 40, and 35. Okay, and we're ready. Okay, so maximum. These are the variables, and these are the constraints. this thing to look me. All right, OTP. If we don't put in the binary, first let's do it without binary. So, 2 times the project. We can't have 2 times the project. So we'll do the same thing again. Okay, with binary variable. Okay, so that's the problem. Unfortunately, sometimes something is so lucrative, 2 times, 3 times we can do, but that's unfortunately not allowed. Okay, and here we are. So first 3 projects are here. Yeah, sure. So, okay, yeah. Anyway, they're probably uploaded at the end. So we save them in the thing. Okay, so this is the capital budgeting problem. And so finally, we're selecting project plant expansion, warehouse expansion, and new machine. This new product research, though it gives good returns, unfortunately, too costly for us. Actually, no, anyhow, that one is better. Oh, no. But actually, the capital requirements are much more here than there. Okay, unfortunately, nothing else is available. Okay, now, another thing is where we have fixed costs. So, now we'll get onto that one. Okay, so to do this one, fixed cost one, I need some other things. So I'll do that first. Now let's get on to our next thing, which is transportation and assignment. Okay, now I'm sort of jumbling between different PPTs. There's a reason. All right, now we've seen various applications, but one very nice application is when we're looking at different types of networks. As we'll see, there's another chapter on networks separately. That again we'll see later. But one nice type of network is what is called a transportation network. In a transportation network, there are 2 types of nodes. One are supply points, and the other are demand points. So supply points are places where we have huge amount of supply, good amount of supply, and demand points are where we require the. So we need to supply from the supply points to the demand points. So to the demand points at minimum total cost. And well, first of all, we know the cost between each supply point and each demand point, and the supply points have fixed supply capacity, demand points have fixed demand requirement. These are the constraints in the problem. Okay, so we want to meet the demand from the given supplies at minimum total cost with various supply constraints and various demand constraints. Okay, so and this is just the. Okay, so in a transportation problem, so a network model is one represented by a set of nodes, arcs, and functions, cost, supplies, demand, and so on, associated with the arcs and nodes. All of these that we're going to study are examples of network problems. So transportation problem, assignment problem, transshipment problem, as well as shortest route, minimum spanning tree, and maximum flow problems, as well as actually PERT CPM, project management. Whole of project management actually is contained in this chapter, by chance. But anyhow, we're not going that deep into it. It can be studied as a network. All right, so the transportation models, okay. This is just some. Okay, in a transportation problem, we're trying to minimize the total shipping cost of transporting goods from end supply points to end origins to end destinations or demand points. Each origin has a fixed amount of supply, each destination has a fixed demand. And the cost of shipping 1 unit, these are what are called unit transportation costs. The cost of shipping 1 unit from origin I to destination J is Cij. So these values are known to us. We know the amount of supplies available at the different supply points. The demand requirements are also known. We want to find the way of shipping this at minimum total cost. Okay, so a simple network is like this. Suppose we have 2 supply points, S1 and S2, with supply S1 and S2 here. We have 3 demand points, D1, D2, D3, with the demand D1, D2, D3 given. And the cost C11 is from supply point 1 to demand point 1. C12 is from supply point 1 to demand point 2, and so on. All of these. Now, first of all, can we express this as a linear programming problem? The answer is yes. These are parts of, this is a subset of linear programming. Basically, what we need to decide is how much the quantity to be shipped from each supply point to each demand point. Xij is the quantity to be shipped from Xsi to Dj. And so the total cost becomes Cij multiplied by Xij summed over all supply points, all demand points. So if one unit is shipped from I to j, the cost is Cij. Since Xij units are shipped, it's Cij into Xij. And this is summed over all supply points, all demand points. Okay, very simple. Now, the constraints are also very simple. For each supply point, the units that are leaving Si, Xij is the number of units leaving Si. Xi1 means how much is shipped to D1. Xi2 is shipped to D2. When we add up all these, that becomes summation Xij summed over j. That has to be less than or equal to the supply available, Si. And for the demand, we can put equal to. We want to satisfy the demand, but for that we require excess supply. All right? So one important thing here is, if we want to satisfy all the demand, we must have more supply than demand, right? Okay. So we must have more supply than demand. And if that's the case, supply constraints are less than or equal to demand constraints are equal to satisfying the demand with all the available supply. If we don't have enough supply, can we satisfy all the demand? No. And so therefore, less than or equal to here, equal to that. Okay, now, one special case is when total supply equals total demand. Right? If total supply equals total demand, we call that a balanced transportation problem. And it's very nice because then these constraints, supply constraints, also become equal to constraints. And it becomes a nice thing to do. Right? So, special cases. Okay, there are some special considerations also. So, for example, if there's a minimum shipping guarantee from I to j, if there's a minimum requirement, we must ship at least this much, then Xij should be greater than or equal to that. If there's a maximum route capacity, Xij should be less than or equal to the route capacity. And if there's an unacceptable route, that decision variable has to be removed, equal to 0. Cannot allow that. Or a different way of putting it, when it's unacceptable, put a very high cost on that, so that it won't be allocated there. That's another way of. Okay, now, all right, so what we're going to do is, we're going to, we'll show you, of course, we'll show this through Excel also, but first we'll see how to solve this by hand as well. So we have has orders for 80 tons of bricks at 3 suburban locations as follows: Northwood 25 tons, Westwood 45 tons, and Eastwood 10 tons. That's 80, yes. And DDC has 2 plants, each of which can produce 50 tons per week. The delivery cost per ton is shown in each of the plants in the figure below. Okay, these are the delivery costs. So from plant 1 to Northwood, cost is 24 per unit. From plant 1 to Westwood is 30. From plant 1 to Eastwood is 40. 2 to Westwood, 30, 40, and 42. So how should we go about this? Okay, so we can solve it as a LTP. Okay, let's look at their solution and let's see what, okay. So here in their solution, we're shipping 5 from X11, 45 from X12, 0 from X13, 20 from X21, 0 from X22, and 10 from X23, okay? And we're not using plant 2 capacity. Now, what we're going to discuss is how to solve this as. Now, let's assume that this is balanced, okay? So I'm going to solve this as a balanced transportation problem. So now let's get into this. Okay, what were the demand requirements? 25, 45, and 10. So I'm going to write that over here. Okay, 25 is the demand here. 45 is the demand here. And 10 is the demand here. And what we had was, capacity of 50 and 50, 100. But then that becomes unbalanced. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this as a balanced transportation problem, okay? So I know the solution is 50 from first one, plant 1, 30 from plant 2. So I'll solve that first, and later on we'll discuss how to extend this. So what I'm going to do is the supply available, I'll put as 50 here and 30 here. Yes? I know that that was the final solution. So I'm going to see how that's. Now, the problem here is, okay, when we want to solve this, see, in simplex method, we could always start at the origin. So we could start at the origin, and we then applied all those things. Simplex method we applied. The problem is here, we cannot start with 0 because that does not satisfy row and column totals. So what we need to do is we need to allocate to these cells here. So now we can think of this as simply how many units to be allocated in each of these 6 cells here, with row totals equal to 50 and 30, column totals equal to 25, 45, and 10. And these are the costs, these are not allocations. So we need to give allocations to these 6 cells so that row and column totals are matching with minimum total cost. Okay. Now, one way of doing that is to look at low cost cells. Which is the least cost cell here? 24. So let's try to allocate maximum amount here. How much can we allocate here? Well, we have 50 units, but we require only 25. So what is the maximum we can allocate there? 25. Okay. So I'm going to allocate 25 units here. Okay. I'll allocate 25 units here. Okay. And that means this is completed. I cannot use this anymore. So this column is completed. And so how many units are left here in supply? 25. Then I'll look for the next least cost cell. Where is the next least cost cell? Westwood, right? And how much can I allocate here? Well, 25 is available, 45 is required. So I'll allocate 25 here, minimum of the two. Minimum of the amount available and the demand required. Okay. Now this is completed, and now there are 20 units left here. And because I've completed this row and this column, now we have only one column or one row left here. So I have to allocate these units. 20 plus 10 here. 20 units here, 10 units here. Okay, so this satisfies the row and column totals, right? Yes? Now, what is the total cost of this? Well, to get the total cost, I have to multiply. 25 into 24, 25 into 30, 20 into 40, and 10 into 42. How much is that? No one has a calculator, of course. Okay, I also didn't bring mine, so okay, we'll just come out and have a look at Excel for this. Oh, and show. All right, keep. All right, so all right, what was it? 24 into 25 plus 25 into 25 into what? 30, 20 into 40. 5 into 30 plus 20 into 40 plus how much? Last one? 10 into 42. 10 into 42. Okay, 2570. Okay, total cost is 2570. Okay, this one 2570. Yes. Okay, so total cost here is. Oh, sorry. Okay, interruption. Ah, what's it? Laser. Total cost is 2570. All right. Now, do you think this is the best solution? Why or why not? You're shaking your head. That means yes or no? Yes, the best solution, huh? But we saw something different, no? When they solved there, no? It's quite different. 445, quite different, right? So this is not the best solution. And we'll see what their optimum was. What is their optimum? 2490. Ours is 2570. So clearly this is not the right solution. So, but this is one method. This is an initial solution method to get the initial, what is called basic feasible solution. All right, now, in a balanced transportation problem, we need to first get an initial basic feasible solution, which is what we did here, least cost method. There's another method we'll also do in a moment. We get the initial basic feasible solution, and then we need to test for optimality. Now, basic feasible solution for a balanced transportation problem means basically the number of allocations. Here we had how many? 4 allocations. The number of allocations should be equal to number of rows plus number of columns minus 1. And it has to satisfy row and column totals, and number of allocations should be number of rows plus number of columns minus 1, which is 2 plus 3 minus 1 is 4 allocations. As we can see, there are 4 allocations here. Yes? Now, to test for optimality, we're going to use a technique. All right, let me show you the technique first. All right, I think I need a, okay. So, see, what we do is we associate row and column dual variables as follows. So, row variables we're going to call as U1 and U2. Column variables I'll call as V1, V2, and V3. Okay? All right, so U1 and U2, so I'll just write them here, U1 and U2 here. And column variables I'll call as V1, V2, and V3. Okay, now, basically, we calculate the values of this U1, V1, U1, U2, V1, V2, V3 by looking at these basic cells, okay? Cells where allocations are made. And so for any of these, so there are 4 basic cells, okay? And at each of these, we have to have UI plus Vj should be equal to the cost in the cell, okay? Now, of course, there are only 4 cells and 5 variables, so we need to set one of them arbitrarily. So let us set, this is any one of them we can do arbitrarily, but let's take U1 to be 0 first. Okay, I can set anything arbitrarily. I'm choosing U1 to be equal to 0 first. And now in that row, there are 2 basic cells. So V1 must be equal to, so U1 plus V1 has to be 24. So V1 has to be 24 minus 0, which is 24 here. And similarly, U1 plus V2 has to be equal to 30. So V2 equals 30 minus 0, which is 30 here. Okay, and these 2 cells, I've completed that. This is not a basic cell, so I can't calculate that yet. Now, if you look in this column, U2 plus V3 has to be equal to 40. So U2 has to be equal to 40 minus 30, which is 10. Okay, so this cell is done. And now V3 has to be 42 minus 10, which is 32. Okay, so for the basic cells, Ui plus Vj equals Cij. Everyone agrees? Now, for non-basic cells, for empty cells, we take Cij minus Ui minus Vj. So I'll put it down here like this. Okay. Oh, that was a bit bad stroke. Okay, let me try this again. Oh, what happened? All right, so here I'm going to take Cij minus Ui minus Vj. Okay, so 30 minus 10 minus 24 is minus 4. And here, how much is it? 40 minus 0 minus 32 is plus 8. Now, a solution is optimal if all of these delta ij's, this is like the delta ij I calculated in simplex method. If all of these are non-negative, solution is optimal. But this is not non-negative, right? So this is negative. And so we can improve the solution. Okay. Now, how do I improve the solution? Okay, let me show you how to improve the solution. Basically, the cost here, this is the opportunity cost. So by allocating to this cell, I can reduce the cost by 4 per unit. So I want to allocate, suppose, theta units here. Okay, so I want to allocate theta units here. Now, the column total here is 25. So if I allocate theta units, it has decreased from this. So when I allocate theta units here, that has to be subtracted from here. So plus theta here, minus theta here. And because it's subtracted and the total is 50 here, it has to be added here and subtracted here. Okay, so plus theta here in this empty cell, and then you have a chain of basic cells where this allocation is changed. Plus theta, minus theta here, plus theta here, minus theta here. Okay, and what is the maximum I can put there? Well, because this 20 minus theta, if I take any value of theta greater than 20, this allocation becomes negative. So theta, the maximum I can put for theta is 20 here. Okay, so 20. So now what will it become? Now it will become, can I, no, I can't. Okay, so I'll just draw, oh God, that's a very bad table. Okay, oh God, anyhow. All right, this is not the best table in the world, but anyhow, it's a table. Okay. All right, let me try again. Okay. Anyone better at drawing tables? Maybe the smaller table is better. Okay, this is better. Okay, much better. Okay, so now if I put theta equals 20, this is 25 plus 20, so 45. Okay, this cell is 45. 25 minus 20, oh no, 25, oh God, 25 minus 20, so 5 only, 5. Okay, so let me just rub out the 40 there. Okay, 5. All right, luckily. Okay, 25 plus 20, so 45 here. This is plus theta, so 20 here. And this is 20 minus 20, so it becomes 0, so it becomes empty. Okay, so now there are 4 basic cells again. And again, we do the UI and VJ. So this is 24. This is 30. This is how much? 30. And this is 40. And this is 40 and 42. Okay? 40 and 42. And now this solution will be optimal. So U1 equals 0. For this cell, V1 equals 24, right? Yeah? Because U1 plus V1 equals 24. Here V2 equals 30, right? And here if we come down, U2 has to be equal to how much? 30 minus 24, which is 6. And here V3 has to be 42 minus 6, which is 36. And now when we calculate delta J's, 40 minus 6 minus 30 is plus 4. And 40 minus 0 minus 36 is plus 4 also. And so this is optimal. And is it the same as what they got? 5, 45, 0, 20, 0, 10. Okay, 5, 45, 0, 20, 0, 10, which is what they got. And the cost will be 249. Okay, so this is the method we use. Okay, we'll practice it. But there's another thing also, so I'll finish that and tomorrow morning we'll practice again. Okay, is that okay? We'll finish off all the formulation part and do the practicing tomorrow. Okay? Is that okay? There's some other interesting formulation also, so I wanted to get to those. Okay, so our solution is ship 5 units from plant 1 to Northwood with the cost of 120. 45 units from Westwood to plant 1 to Northwood, Westwood with 1,350 cost. Plant 2 to Northwood, 20 with 600 is the cost. And 10 units from plant 2 to Eastwood with cost 420. And the total cost is the sum of this, which is 2490. Okay? Anyway, sometimes it gets, and then there's a sensitivity report also. Which sensitivity report, by the way, is very nice because it tells what is the opportunity cost of using. So if I use 1, 3, and by the way, these are the same as those delta IJs, right? 4, 4. You remember? The delta IJs that we got are exactly the opportunity cost. Yes? So very nice. But one other thing it tells us is, so these things are the same as what we've already seen, but what it tells us are the shadow prices. Notice that shadow price of plant 1 is negative. That means if we have more units available in plant 1, we can lower the total cost. Okay, that's the nice thing of this. Okay, now, all right, so they're showing the same thing, huh? Okay. So whatever we did, they're showing through this transportation tableau. Same thing is called a transportation tableau. Oh, I didn't realize this was there. I should have read it before. Okay, anyway, so basically, whatever we have as our thing, they're expressing through this transportation tableau. These are the costs, and these are the allocations that will be made. And yeah, this is the same thing, right? Oh, the costs have changed now. Okay, anyway, let's solve this. So through least cost method, where will we allocate first? 15. Okay, so we'll allocate here first. How much do we allocate? 25 units, as before. Okay, 25 units are allocated here. This is finished, and 25 units are left here. Next, where is the next least cost cell? 20. Right? How much do we allocate here? Only 10 units can be allocated here. And so 15 units are left after that. And now there's only one column left. We have to allocate 15 here and 30 here. Total is 45. Okay. Now let's again do UIs and VJs. So U1 equals 0. Okay. Here V1 equals how much? V1 equals 15. And in this row, all of them are basic, so directly you'll get V2 equals 30 and V3 equals 20, right? And coming here, U2 equals 40 minus 30, right? 40 minus 30, which is 10. Okay, so what are the delta IJs? 30 minus 10 minus 15, which is plus 5. And here, 35 minus 10 minus 20, which is again plus 5. So this is optimal. Okay? Very, very simple. No? Okay. So let's see what they've done. They've used minimum cost procedure. Okay. Same thing. I think they'll get the same answer. And you can read all this up. It's the same thing actually. Multi-method. Okay. Oh, they put dummy. Why did they put dummy? There's only 30 there. Yeah, 30 only. They didn't need dummy. Okay, they're just being, okay. Now, this is when it's unbalanced. Okay? So what they've done is they've said that, okay, it was 50-50. If it's unbalanced, what we have to do is introduce a dummy column. So here the demand total was 80, supply total is 100, and so we create a dummy demand of 20. So that now becomes balanced, and then we can solve just as before. I think anyway, even if you take the previous allocation, oh, this is back to the original solution, right? Okay, so what was our original solution before? I think it was 5 here, 5, 45, 5, 45, what else? 20 here and 10 here, right? 20 here and 10 here. And of course, the balance has to come here. So 20 here. Okay, let me show you that this again will give us an optimal solution. So what is U1? Well, we always start with U1 equals 0. V1 becomes 24. Here, U2 becomes 30 minus 24 is 6. Okay, here V2 becomes 30 directly. V3 now becomes 42 minus 6 is 36. And what happens with Ramyun? V4 becomes how much? 0 minus 6, which is minus 6. Now, you'll say that, oh, we should have had non-negative values. The point here is, in UV method, because the constraints are equality, both positive and negative are allowed, as long as the totals add up. When the totals add up with basic variables, that's more than enough. And now we can calculate delta ij. So 40 minus 6 minus 30 is again plus 4 here. 40 minus 0 minus 6 minus 36 is again plus 4 here. And what is this one? 0 minus 0 minus minus 6 is plus 6. So again, this is optimal. Okay? Very, very simple. Huh? Okay? Very simple method. And similar, so they're doing the same thing all over again. Okay? So, yes. Plus 8, huh? Oh, this is not optimal, right? They did the minimum cost method and they got negative here, which shows. Okay, so let's do it from here. Okay, so these are the allocations: 25, 5, 40, 10, and 20. Because this is negative, we're going to put plus theta here, right? So where can I balance this plus theta? Well, it has to be okay minus theta here, right? Yes, minus theta here. So, here's the thing. So, plus theta here and minus theta here. So, what will I get? Okay, let's see if I can draw it. Oh, okay, anyway, it's close enough. Anyway, all right. I'll just add in one more column here. All right, so, okay, so, what do I get? 25 here. This is 5 plus 20, right? No, 5 plus 20. Minus thetas are 20 and 40, right? So 20. 5 plus 20 is 25 here. 40 minus 20 is 20 here. This remains 0, this is 0, this is 10, and this is 20. Right? Okay, actually I should circle these. I prefer circling because otherwise people can get confused, okay? So now let's see what we have. This is 24, 30, 40, 0. This is 0, this is 42, 40 again, and 30 here. Okay, so U1 equals 0, V1 equals 24, V2 equals 30. U2 equals 40 minus 30 is 10. Okay. V3 equals 32 here, and V4 equals minus 10. Okay, if you look at this, these will be positive. 40 minus 0 minus 32 is positive. 0 minus 0 minus minus 10 is positive. That's not the problem. The problem is here. 30 minus 0, 10 minus 24 is minus 4. So the problem is this cell here. So I won't write that. I'll just directly put plus theta here. This is the same as it was earlier, right? Plus theta, minus theta here, plus theta here, and minus theta here. And what happens? This becomes 20. And so we'll get 5, 20, 45, and 10, and 0, 10 and 20. which is the earlier solution that we got here. Right? This is this, and this is the optimal. So automatically, so sometimes you have to do this several steps until you get to the optimal solution. Right? It's just a matter of practice. You just have to practice. So tonight, do some practice, and you'll see it. Anyway, we'll revise it once tomorrow. All right? Okay. All right. So let's go to our next type of problem, which is called an assignment problem. That's an even more interesting type of problem. Okay, where is it? Okay, whatever. Anyhow, yeah, finally they get the optimal solution. It's the same thing, right? So they got, what happened? So they reallocated, got this 25, 25, 20, 10, 20. And then after reallocation to this cell, they get the same solution, which is 5, 45, 0, 0, 20, 0, 10, 20. Which is, and now it's optimal. Okay? Right? Very, very simple. Anyway, practice it, you'll see. And this is the total. Now we get what are called assignment problems. Okay, so those were transportation problems. Assignment problem is another type of interesting, it's like a transportation problem, as we'll see. Now, suppose we have, for example, some workers and some jobs. Okay, so we have a set of workers and a set of jobs. And we don't want to assign more than one worker to any job, and we don't want to assign more than one job to any worker. So at most we can have one worker with one job. Of course, first of all, we have to have the same number of workers and jobs. So it has to be balanced. We'll study what to do when it's unbalanced a little later. So we want to minimize the total cost of assignment. So suppose if I assign worker I to job J, the cost is Cij. Okay. So we want to find how to assign the workers to the jobs at minimum total cost. Okay, so minimize the total cost of assignment of m workers to n jobs. They're assuming it to be balanced. Given that the cost of worker I performing job J is Cij. We want to find the minimum total cost. Now again, so this is like a transportation problem because each worker has 1 unit of labor. Each job requires 1 unit of labor. So the worker is like the supplier, the job is like the demand, and each thing is 1. So each worker can give 1 unit of work. Each job requires 1 unit of work. So it is like a transportation problem, but we won't use that method because it becomes, you'll see, if you try that method, it becomes more difficult. In fact, there's a simpler representation or a simpler method called the Hungarian assignment method to solve this, okay? So here are the workers, here are the tasks. We want to assign them, find a matching of them. By the way, how many different assignments can we make here? If I have 3 workers and 3 jobs, how many different ways are there of assigning them? Just a simple general knowledge question. 8, huh? Okay. It's of course not right, but any 8. Okay, anyone? So I have 3 workers and 3 jobs. How many different ways can I do this assignment? The answer is 6. Okay? See, for example, if I assign job 1 to worker 1 to job 1, then I have 2 ways of assigning. So if I have 2 workers and 2 jobs, there are 2 ways, right? Either worker 1 does job 1, worker 2 does, or reverse. Now, if I have 3, I assign 1, and then there are 2 for each assignment, right? So 3 into 2, it becomes, it's basically permutation, numbers of permutations. So if I have 4 workers and 4 jobs, it will be 4 factorial, 4 into 3 into 2. If I had 5 workers and 5 jobs, it will be 5 factorial. So as you can see, it's becoming larger and larger. That's the problem. Otherwise, we can just solve it. If it was a smaller number, if it didn't grow that much, we could solve it directly. Whereas, okay, this method that we're going to use, oh, by the way, linear programming formulation is also simple. Minimize summation Cij into Xij, summed over Inj with binary variables. This is an application of binary variables, right? Either we assign the worker or we don't. If we assign the worker, it's a 1. We don't assign the worker, it's 0. And summation over all jobs for each worker I is 1. Summation over all workers for each job j is also 1. So one worker has to be assigned to a job, and one job has to be assigned to each worker. Okay, that's the. Anyway, we'll see how to do that in Excel shortly. Now, when we have excess, for example, workers, then we put less than equal to for the workers. For the jobs, we put equal to. For the workers, we put less than equal to, so that not all of them will be forced to take up a job. And if it's the other way around, if we have more jobs than workers, we can put the other way around. Put equal to for workers, less than equal to for jobs, if we don't want some of the jobs done. Anyhow, this is a different way, using dummies. Okay, right. Now, if there is a maximization problem, okay, in terms of revenue, so solve it as a maximization. So if it's a maximization problem, just maximize. If certain assignments are unacceptable, so we just put a high cost to that. If one particular worker refuses to, I don't want to do this job, so obviously we can't assign it to that person. So put a large cost to that. Okay? And if workers are permitted to do more than one job, so say A job, instead of less than equal to 1 or equal to 1, it becomes less than equal to A. Okay? So more labor time is available. Okay, so here's an example. A contractor pays his subcontractors a fixed fee plus mileage for work performed. Okay. On a given day, the contractor is faced with 3 electrical jobs, A, B, C, associated with various projects. Given below are the distances between the subcontractors and the project. So, obviously, if we bring the subcontractors, they will charge us more of a cost if they have to travel more. Okay. And so we have to minimize the total cost here. Okay, so which one should we assign? Now, the method here, this is actually unbalanced. This is unbalanced. Huh? Okay, so we're going to study this Hungarian assignment method, but this has zeros. Okay, I'll do this afterwards. Let me just see 1 second if that other problem, that was an assignment problem also actually. So let's see if that one, this is also 4 and 5, huh? Okay, there's no other choice. All right, okay, we'll do this one. Shall we do this one first? Okay, so this again, so Tom's Tailoring has 5 idle tailors and 4 custom garments to be made, okay? So 5 tailors, 4 garments. So we have to assign which tailor should do which garment. Okay? X basically means we're not allowed to assign here. Okay? X means not allowed to assign. Okay? Now, how do we do this? Well, basically, what we do is the following. Right? Well, of course, it's an integer programming problem. So we're minimizing the total cost. All right, minimizing the total cost, which is just 19 into x11, 23 into x12, and blah, blah, blah. What else do? We put garments, the sum of so for each row, the sum should be equal to 1. And notice 2, 3 is made equal to 0, and 3, 4 is made automatically equal to 0, and 4, 1 is also made equal to 0. So those are not allowed, so those have been dropped. Okay? And then the tailor's constraints will be less than equal to 1 because not all of them will be selected. Okay. So, and anyhow, they didn't solve it, so we'll solve it. Okay. So now we'll solve it, but how to solve it is the question. Okay. We don't have that pad here today, right? Can you hear now? It's coming. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so sorry for that. Okay. All right, so in the meantime, we had made our problem. So imagine we have, okay, 4 workers and 4 jobs. So A, B, C, D, it doesn't matter what you consider it, it's symmetric. And these are the costs. Oh my God. From there it looks strange. Okay, anyhow. Let's see. Okay, so now the Hungarian assignment method this is a balanced assignment problem, right? Balanced means number of workers, number of jobs are equal. Now, how we proceed with this is, first we do something called row reduction. So in each row, we subtract the smallest element from all other elements. Okay, in the first row, what is the smallest element? 16. So 16 subtracted from all of these. So 21 minus 16 is 5. 18 minus 16 is 2. This is 0. And this one is 3. Right? In the second row, 14 is the least. So 0, 6, 3, and 9. Right? In the third row, 12. So this is 12. Oh, sorry. 0, 6, and 5. Yes. Okay. And in this one, 13. So 2, 6, 0, and 3. Okay. Now we do the same thing with columns. Your first column already has 0, so no change. So 5, 0, 12, and 2. This also no change. So 2, 6, 0, 6. And 0, 3, 6, and 0. And here, this is 3. So 0, 6, 2, and 0. Okay, now, having done this, basically now, each row and each column has at least 1 0. Each row and each column has now at least 1 0. Oh, I think, okay, anyhow. Okay, I created an interesting thing here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You'll see what will happen, okay? Yeah, no, this is to reduce the matrix. See, basically, subtracting the minimum value means of the assignments. So when we assign, for example, if you look at, say, when I look at the first row, when I'm assigning A, the minimum anyway that will be, so the values are 21, 18, 12, 16, and 19. Anyhow, minimum I have to spend is 16, right? So subtract that and get the opportunity cost type thing. Yes. Okay, so by subtracting that, we're looking like at an opportunity cost basically. Okay, and where the opportunity cost is 0 is where I want to assign. So in the last table that I got, I want to be able to assign at these zeros. But to do that, we must have a certain criterion that has to be satisfied, and that is that the number of, so we have to cover all the zeros with the minimum number of lines. Okay, so what is the minimum number of lines required to cover the 0 entries here? Well, in this case, only 3 lines, right? Let me just do this. How do I change the color and make it yellow? Okay. So I need 4 lines to cover all the zeros, right? This is 1 line. This is 1 line, and then I can take 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, whatever, right? I can take 2. So there are 4 lines required to cover all the zeros. Now, if it was less than 4, then I'd have to do one further step. But luckily it's 4, and so I can go ahead with the assignment. Now, to go ahead with the assignment, what I'll do is the following. Okay. So what I do is I look for a row or column with a single 0. Okay. So in the second row, I find that this has a single 0. Oh, I'll just, I think I'll change the color here to red. Okay, so since this is a single 0, I can assign B to W. Okay. Now, next one is a single 0 again, so I'll assign C to X, And now I have 2 rows and 2 columns, each with 2 zeros. So this will actually give me a multiple solution. So let me do one thing. I'll make 2 copies of this and then solve, okay? So I'll take a copy of this, paste it again, okay, down below this. Okay. Now, to solve this, see, I can choose in this row any one of these. So what I'll do is, choose this one. Over here, I'll select this one here, okay? I'll select it here, and in the other solution, I'll cancel it. Okay, I've selected this one here and cancel this here. Because I've selected this, I have to cancel this 0 and this 0. So I cannot assign these, and so I have to select this one. And here, because I've canceled this, I have to select this and cancel this. Okay, so I'll have 2 solutions in this case. Okay, I'll have 2 solutions. One is A, Y, B, W, C, X, and D, Z. All right, so A, Y, so that's 16, B, W, C, X, and this. So 16 plus 12 plus 14 plus 12 plus 16. So this is 32, and this is 26. 32 plus 26 is 58. Okay, and the other solution is A to Z, B to W, C to X, and D to Y. Okay, so 19 plus 14, 13, and 12. These 14, 13, 12 is 20, 35, 9. 39 plus 19 is 59 again. So both solutions give us 59. Okay, so shall we try one more? Shall we try one more? Okay, let's try one more. But can I do this? Okay. All right, I'll just copy this and then change the numbers. Okay. Yeah, I'll just, oh my God, what is that? Okay, I'll just copy this and change the numbers. I think that's the easiest way of doing it. So paste, push this over here. Or open a new one. New one is better, I think. Yeah? Okay, so new. Will it remember? Ah, it's remembered. Okay. All right, then I'll make various copies of it. Oh, no. I'll first rub out all this. Is it possible to, yeah, it is, no? Some white. Oh, no, what is that one? Was this one, huh? Which is one that you pour all the paint in? Or this one, huh? Huh? Why is it not working? Oh, rubbing under is easier. Huh? There's one where you just pour it and it fills the whole thing. Oh, but yes, it's okay. Anyway, it's done. Okay, so let's do one more. All right, so let's go back to pen, black pen. Okay, so let's have, say, 13, 18, 23, and 15. 16, 20, 21, and 19. Okay, no, already that's a problem. So let's make it 18. Okay, then let's have 12, 18, 20. Okay, 20 and 14. Oh, I think again it's a problem. 17, 17. Okay, again. So let's make it 15 here. And 20, 14, 16, and 19. Okay, so, before doing it, I should have copied it. Anyway, okay, anyway, I'll just that's fine. Sorry. I'll just make thing again. It's no problem. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so what do we do now? So first row least is 13. So this becomes 0, 5, 10, and 2. Here 0, 4, 5, and 2 again. No. Oh, this will again give a multiple solution. I thought I changed that. Okay, wait. One small change here. Let's make it another number. 19, okay? Okay, so 19 means 3, right? Okay, here 0, 6, 8, and 3. And here, this is 6, 0, 2, and 5. Okay? All right, now, what do we do? Oh, again, I have to make another box. Okay, the box is simple. All right, so now this first column is already 0, second column already has zeros. Okay, so 0, 0, 0, 6. This is 5, 4, 6, 0. Right, this also doesn't change. What happens here? This also becomes 0 now. So this becomes 8, 3, 6, and 0. And here this becomes 0, 1, 1, and 3. Now, how many lines do we have to cover all these zeros? Well, this is one line, okay? This is another line, and only one more required. So I think I'll take this column here. Okay, only 3 lines are required. So I have to do one more reduction step. So when this happens, when there are not enough lines, we have to do a further reduction step. Okay, so let's see how to do that. Okay, so this, okay, now in the further reduction step, we look at the elements that are not covered by any of the lines. Oh, this is black, huh? Oh, God. Anyway, it was 0, 1, 1, 3, right? 0, 1, 1, 3. Okay, anyway, we have to remember those numbers. Now, out of these numbers that are uncovered, we subtract the smallest of the numbers. So, subtract 3. So, this will become 2, 5, 1, 0, 3, 3. And lines covered by one line only will remain unchanged. So, numbers that are covered by one line only. So, this remains as 0, 0, 0. So, 0, 0, and 0. No, not the 6 will change. These we subtract 3, so this becomes 2, 1, 3, and 5, 0, 3. And again, these are unchanged, so 0, 1, 1. Right? These 2 zeros also are unchanged, 0, 0. And whatever is subtracted here, we add back at these intersections. So 6 plus 3 is 9, and 3 plus 3 is 6 here. Okay? And now again we find the minimum number of lines. So what is the minimum number of lines required? Now it's, I think, 4, right? 1, 2. Okay. Now, in the third row, there's a single 0. So I'll assign this. And because I've assigned the third row to the first column, I can cancel these zeros now. So this one and this one get, this one and this one. Okay. This one and this one get cancelled. Okay. Now I can assign this one, assign this one, then I assign this one, and then cancel this 0. And finally, I can assign this one. Okay. So sometimes it requires a little more, just a little more iteration, but you'll get it. You'll get the solution quite easily. Right? These are assignment problems. Okay, let's do one thing. It's already 7:30 and the microphone is already telling us that it's tired. So we'll stop here and we'll continue with this. So practice this. The reason I'm doing these is so that both of them, transportation as well as assignment problems, they're not difficult, but they require a little practice. So as you practice them overnight, then we can perhaps revise and then go ahead with it, okay? There are various other network methods. Oh my God. Okay, anyway. From there it looks straight actually. Yes. Anyhow, it was, okay, what to do. Anyway, what to do. So this is something that we can't change. Okay, so what is assigning? Why do we assign and cancel? Okay, see basically, so remember it's 4 workers and 4 jobs. So remember the workers are A, B, C, and jobs are X, Y, Z, W, X, Y, Z. So worker C is assigned to job W, and so these other zeros cannot be assigned. And that's why we're canceling them. We're not considering them. We want to assign at one of the zeros. In other words, here worker C was being assigned to job W, and so these zeros cannot be used for workers A and B. And so we can assign the other zeros in the same row after that. So it's not that we're canceling the zeros, we're not considering them for assignment. That's the basic idea. All right? It's not that we're canceling the 0. We're saying that we're assigning at the zeros, and once we've assigned that 1 0, other zeros in that row or column cannot be considered for assignment later. Okay, yeah, it's a confusing terminology, I know, but it's a simple idea. So practice this, and tomorrow we'll continue with this, okay? All right? Everyone's okay? Any other doubts? Okay, so I think that's, sorry? Yeah, that's, but they're hearing. They can hear now. Okay? All right, okay, then we'll stop at this point and continue again.